Hi there, I'm meteorologist Mike Favetta. Thanks for joining us right here on Channel 612 or News12.com. I wanted to give you a behind-the-scenes approach as how I, as a meteorologist, forecast with all these various resources that we have here in the Weather Center, or even some that you can access at home. For instance, you've probably seen our National Weather Service homepage, which shows a good 4 to 6 inches falling across most of the city. That includes right there from coastal Brooklyn and even slightly higher in the purple there in the northwestern corner of the borough. Not that we necessarily agree with that, but we don't exactly disagree. There's a lot of other forecast tools that we use here in News 12 that, well, others and even you at home don't necessarily have access to, that give us and help us with our forecast, that gave us that final accumulation that we'll show you in just a bit. Another example, for instance, is a big table spreadsheet. I know it almost looks like the stock market table page of the newspaper, but essentially it gives one computer's interpretation of an hour-by-hour synopsis of what's going on in the atmosphere. So we'll take it tomorrow morning where the snow begins. It gives you a little ratio, meaning 1 inch of water would be equal to 14 inches of snow, hence how fluffy the snow is. And then you go a little further right and it shows you an accumulation right down through the hour. So by this time you have 1 inch, by this time you have 1.9 inches, and then all of a sudden when that sun sets tomorrow, you're up to 7.4 inches. That is one interpretation from one computer model, but as you may know, it's not the only one. For instance, the good old global forecast scenario puts out a little diagram like this, a vertical interpretation of the atmosphere with the red line being temperature and the green line being humidity or dew point, for instance. Whenever those lines are left of this zero plane, it's below freezing. We're using Celsius here. Whenever those lines are to the right of that plane, you go into positive or above freezing numbers. We're pretty much snow. It stays cold right through the atmosphere on the left side of that zero line right throughout tomorrow afternoon. But then look what happens. Advance this one frame. No? Okay. There we go. Advance it one frame and it puts it on the opposite side of that zero line going across. So that means rain, quite simply. So that's why there's a lot of, well, inconsistency, if you will, between the forecasts. All right, let's get right to it. What is going on across our atmosphere? Well, as we've been showing you, the clear high is in control, but that's now breaking down, allowing the cold air to remain, but is keeping quite a bit of the blue, which is the snow at first, right through tomorrow night. However, as the wind comes off of the water, notice you have these shades of green and pink working, which is the rain. So in essence, it's kind of a blend of both worlds, with this storm center staying very close to us here in the city, even passing over the east end of Long Island. Anytime storms typically and historically come that close to shore, at least the center, that provides a little bit more warm air and could provide the rain with a very gusty wind to finish. We know it's going to be cold Sunday into Monday. But as far as snowfall totals, well, if the storm again goes a little further out to sea, we could increase our snowfall rates and final accumulations by these lighter shades of blue pushing down closer to the city and here in the borough. Hence, that's why there could be a little bit more of an issue with snowfall disparity. So that's overall the synopsis of what's going on and why you may be hearing 1, 2, or 3 inches on some places, and other sources tell you the 6 to 8 inch range. It's simply that fine line. Here it's shown in pink, and it's your freezing line that works its way northward, first over Brooklyn, then eventually over the Bronx, and obviously the time has changed every 3 hours when the update comes out. There's also a matter of how much rain falls after all of this storm changes to just a plain rain. So that's another option to look at even throughout tomorrow into Sunday morning. Your forecast accumulations, these likely not going to change, but something interesting. How do I get the forecast map right down to your neighborhood? Is it like some magical number? No, it's actually manipulated by me. What you're seeing here is not one computer, it's actually a combination of 3 different sources that I've handpicked for these neighborhoods, from City Island to Throgs Neck, with the lesser amounts to the greater amounts right up there toward Williamsbridge and even over in North Riverdale, pushing the 4-inch envelope, maybe as much as 5. So that's an idea of how I came up with these dramatic numbers, and even for Brooklyn, much less along the shoreline, maybe maybe an inch and a half there. Out by Gerritsen Beach, Manhattan Beach for you, 1.1, and then Seagate tomorrow evening. But again, slightly more, pushing that 4-inch number the further away you head from the shoreline and inland. And even though that's only a matter of 11 miles from tip to tip, that's certainly quite a difference in just a matter of inches per se. Overall, it looks much colder next week. We'll keep the chill around, and then I think by the end of next week, just in time for winter, go figure, there will be a milder trend. I know. Interesting stuff. Thanks for tuning in. I hope you learned something and maybe explained the different, I guess, tendencies that this storm has. We'd love to hear from you over on Facebook, Twitter. You can leave comments right in the bottom of this page. Thanks for joining us. I'm meteorologist Mike Favetta.